Dear friend, let's discover more of who we are together. Love, Haley and Amanda. A year in review.
This episode is a look back at 2021.
I can't believe that we are
at the end of 2021.
Yeah.
I actually don't ever think about that until right now on this episode.
Yeah, because we started thinking about kind of New Year's resolution-y stuff, and then we're like, what? It's already time?
For a new year.
And then we started looking back on all of our episodes, and there were a lot of episodes.
Yeah, we read through the titles of all the episodes from 2021, and we were like, yo!
That was a lot!
These are good stuff. These sound interesting. I'd listen.
And then we were like, which ones were the most interesting to people? And so we have made a countdown.
Yes, so on today's episode, we're going to look at the top episodes of 2021. Did you like that voice?
Yes.
2021. I feel like I could be a voiceover.
I don't.
Okay. Am I a little cuspy?
A little cuspy.
So we have our top episodes. Then we have our personal favorite episodes, which were not in the top 5, but that's okay. Our personal favorite episodes from 2021. And then kind of where we're headed in 2022, which I just want to say, I'd love for you to say it also.
I was going to say that if you're shocked by what the most listened to episodes are.
So are we.
Yeah. Because, and I would love to hear that, like, hey, that's weird that was the most listened to because this was my personal favorite. I would love to hear if your personal favorite was one that stands out and it was not mentioned at all. That's interesting to us.
Is it?
It is to me.
Okay. Well, let's get into our top episodes because, what I was going to say is I cannot believe we're in the 20s and yeah, we're in the 2020s, not the 1920s. Man, think about how cool the roaring 20s were.
These are the roaring 20s.
What's roaring about them? COVID's roaring?
Pandemics.
COVID's going, roar! I'm going to take over! Roar!
The roaring pandemic 20s.
That's all. Why can't it be like prohibition and we're like sneaking around drinks?
We are kind of trying to find one that's safe to drink.
That is true. We are sneaking around trying to drink carefully.
I think that it could be
and
a
moonshiners.
What? I was about to go deep, and you're not.
Me too.
You just said moonshiners.
What were you gonna say?
That it could be roaring 20s in a way, because I think that there's a lot of like revolution kind of happening. Yeah. Personally, like in people rethinking how they want to live their lives, spend their time, what's happening with our world.
So in a metaphor, what are the moonshiners of 2020s, of the roaring 20s?
You're asking yourself that, and I'd love to hear your answer.
I don't have it.
I don't either.
What are the moonshiners, people sneaking around?
I can't answer this.
I don't know where I was going.
I don't want to answer it.
Yours was thoughtful and mine was nothing. Is that cool?
I'm just picturing people sneaking around in the moonshine.
It makes me think of the Lucas Nelson song, Feeling Fine, Run and Shine, where his granddad was a moonshiner.
Got it.
We're not going to go anywhere with that, so let's just cut.
All right, so
top 5 episodes in 2021.
Our fifth most popular.
That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you don't know how to count,
5. It was tied for 5th place. Tied for 5th place.
Tied.
I know.
What were they tied?
It was the Mendozas. Our interview with the Mendozas about following your passion, and Down a Road Less Traveled. I am remembering now. That was a great conversation.
Great episode.
So inspiring, moving. And it was tied with our episode about our why behind this podcast, which, let's just say also, a big thing that happened in 2020, we completely rebranded and changed our
podcast.
name.
It was the Haley and Amanda podcast in 2020, and we rebranded and became the Dear Friend podcast. Dear Friend podcast for dear friends
All across the globe.
all across the podcasts. No, the Mendoza's episode was really special because they're doing amazing work in Honduras with their organization Connect Global. And if you don't know anything about Connect Global, go listen to the episode, but also you can follow them anywhere online on social media for Connect Global. They're doing amazing work all over, but especially in Honduras. And half of the founders are Danielle and Javier Mendoza and their daughter Sage. And their story is really inspiring. How they work together as a family is really inspiring. It was one of those episodes where we really left feeling that episode for several, like we were on a high from that interview.
I remember it very clearly. It's also one of our most watched episodes on YouTube. And
they were meeting with us from Honduras. Yeah.
And then if you wanted to hear about our why behind our podcast and you're interested why that was popular, I think it's episode 40. And we dive into why we're even doing this, why it matters to us, and what we're trying to stay aligned to.
Yeah, we put that episode out right when we rebranded the name, so people kind of understood what this podcast was even about, why we're doing it, and I really liked doing that episode
as well. I actually might re-listen to it because it's nice to make sure that you're sticking to your why.
Stay in a line. Stay in a line. Line. When did it pick it up? Better to go stay in a line. Stay in a line. Okay.
We've got to do something with that.
Yeah, that's got to be part of something.
I think in our new sponsor episodes,
or
we're going to dress up. We do have the 70s fro.
Or we have a segment where we say, stay in a line, stay in a line. And we just talk about the Young Pueblo quote that is with our podcast. Okay. Episode 4.
Countdown 4. 1, 2, 3. Fourth most popular.
Fourth most popular was how to be a good friend. Now, I wasn't surprised that this was in the top 5 because I think we are experts on this topic.
Yeah, the other day we were talking
Were we? Do we do that?
We were talking about how we listen to certain podcasts because they are experts on a certain thing. And we were like, what are we experts on? And then
friendship.
I think that it might be true.
Friendship.
Yeah, and it's because we're really intentional about it, and we've been doing it for so long, and we've been through so many seasons and up and downs and borings. And
there's an art to a good friendship. There's a lot of effort, and it's just like any other relationship, and it's not so flippant, and it's not, friendships are really deep and they run deep, and there's a lot of effort that has to go into them. And so that episode's really good because we kind of talk about our friendship, how we cultivate it, how we maintain it, and then also how to create new friendships whenever you're in a different stage of life, like out of college when people aren't just all around you who are in the same stage of life, and how to maintain different types of friendships, because you're not going to have 100 people who are like your best friends. You're going to have different types of friendships, which is totally normal, and we kind of go through those.
And we dissect that friendship essay out of David White's books, Consolation.
It's a really good episode. So I'm not surprised that's in the top 5 for sure.
I would say that when we share our favorites later, this was one that was going to be one of my favorites, but I didn't want to list it twice.
Oh, because it was in the top 5.
Yeah. All right, we're coming to
number 3.
Third on the list. Third most popular episode of the whole year.
Kyle Steed. the interview with Kyle Steed, the artist.
On becoming, because he's just going on this journey. Well, we all are, but we resonated with him on so many different ways. We met him on a very hard day of our life this year, especially, and we were in a very vulnerable place, and he went vulnerable with us.
Yeah, it was a really good conversation. He's one of those people who we knew him, I'm putting that in quotes, like we knew him. He is a really well-known artist in our neighborhood, and we crossed paths. We have similar connections, but we had never really sat down and gotten to know him, more deeply.
Mm-hmm.
And so we got to on that day, and it really started a great friendship with him.
Yes.
And he's a really genuinely nice person, and his journey that he talks about in the episode is really inspiring too. And
Yeah.
I loved that episode. I listened to it after we recorded it, but also like when we were just there in his studio talking with him,
Right.
it just felt really good. And he had some really great stories that I could totally relate to.
Yes. And he has quite a huge following on social media, and his artwork is really popular. So,
Which is not surprising why he's
Right.
in the top 5, because I'm
Right.
sure a lot of people wanted to hear an interview with him.
yeah, and so I would highly recommend this interview if you wanted to get to know him on a way deeper level. And also, if you've never even heard of him, he has so much that he brings to the table. Also,
And he talks about his Instagram growth, like
Mhm.
why he has such a large following, how he kind of started on social media. And right now he has a new endeavor
Yeah.
that we're really excited to support him in, which is
He just partnered with a kid's book about, and this is a kid's book about boredom. And he illustrated it, and I'm not 100% sure if he wrote the words, but he definitely illustrated it and helped with the concept. And he has a write-up that just came out from the Dallas Morning News, and I would highly recommend looking into the why behind this book and behind boredom and letting our minds wander and be creative, especially as kids. And also look into the book if you have a kid or you're an adult that likes kids' books.
it's beautiful. And his illustrations, of course, if you have seen Kyle Steed's work at all, it's lovely.
We love you, Kyle.
Okay, the second most popular episode of 2021. The
Second most popular. It was Get Neat with Neat Freak McKinney at the time, but we have an update.
Yeah, Lisa is a home organizer, and she at the time was called Neat Freak McKinney, and now her company is called Get Neat with Lisa, and she also has a huge following on social media.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a huge announcement she came out with.
Well, she also has a huge announcement, but first let's talk about her episode.
Okay.
Because let me tell you something about her episode. She is the reason why we even had her was my sister-in-law does bunko nights, and sometimes Haley and I will fill in whenever she needs extra seats. We're not her first choice. Did you
That's
hear me?
rude.
I'm kidding. And I met Lisa because she's in my sister-in-law's friend circle, and I liked her so much, and I started following her on social media. She was following me, was really encouraging about my floral work and stuff, and I was watching her business grow. And so I wanted to have her on, even though, again, I didn't know her very well, but I really liked her as a person, and I really liked what she was doing. So we had her on the podcast episode.
And we had her on at that particular time because we were all in our homes and people were starting to really try to
Declutter.
and organize their space and be comfortable in their space and feeling anxiety in their space.
And what I really liked about her episode was, number one, she's an angel on earth, the most genuinely nice person, like
great vibes, smiley,
oh my gosh,
smiley,
but just so nice, so genuinely nice. And her episode was way more than home organizing, because we kind of got into the root of why we have anxiety around clutter, why clutter why clutter happens. Like we went through it was just way more than how to organize or where to start organizing, even though those were good tips. It was a lot about like the psychology of keeping things and kind of like overbuying. And I really liked that episode.
I really liked it too. Highly recommend.
And she has a huge announcement. She is coming out with her own line on HSN and QVC.
It is out.
Yeah, it's out.
Yeah. She announced it like
in September.
And it's out now, and she's going to be having product lines for the next 3 years on HSN.
Girls blowing up. So it's all like
on.
how to organize your house, all of the different kind of containers and all that. It's her line, Get Neat with Lisa. And so if you see it on HSN or QVC, support our girl Lisa, because she deserves it. She is a hard worker. She has been working towards this for a long time, and I'm so happy that this is coming her way because she deserves it.
She does.
It's great.
Great job, Lisa.
She was our second most listened to, and again, she has a huge following, so I'm sure that was a big part of it. But she's such a great woman. And then finally,
the most popular episode of 2021, the most popular, and I have to say it's kind of a landslide.
Yeah, it was like hundreds above the other.
Yeah.
Which
I can't believe it.
I can't either. But
we're going to dissect this here.
Yeah, we are. So the number one listened to episode was actually two, part 1 and part 2 of Beata Human's
Every Room Should Sing.
Every Room Should Sing book that we reviewed and talked through.
Reviewing it and having a conversation about all the different aspects of it and what they meant to us. And boy, it blew up.
It really did. I don't know why. This is one of our most watched YouTube episodes.
And most listened to.
And most listened to.
By a landslide.
By a landslide. And so if you haven't listened or watched that episode yet, it's this book from Beata Human, Every Room Should Sing. Haley bought it for me for my birthday because I was dying to get my hands on it. She is a European designer. At the time, she was living in the UK, but now she's back, I believe, in Sweden, where she's from, living there. Her interior design work is so personal and unique. And the book is all about finding your personal style and that making every room special and kind of how she goes about that.
Yeah, and there's stories in there.
Gorgeous pictures and quotes.
There's how-tos. There's the why behind stuff. That's why I think it was so... So why do you think that this is our most popular episode?
I don't know. Because I think unless people were Googling her name because she's kind of blowing up and they were finding this about her, or people really liked the episode and were sharing it. Because to me, if I would have had to, whenever we talk about our favorite episodes, I would have picked this one, the part 1, but I didn't want to pick it because it was already number 1. I just think the conversation number 1 was great.
Around the book
and just like because you and I care about interior design so much.
Yeah, it matters.
It matters to us, and I think our passion for it came out. We had a lot of good, we just had a lot of good conversation around it, and her book had so many great points that it was just, I think, all around a great episode. To me, it was one of our best. Don't you think, sister? Sister Jackie.
I think maybe...
What about you? Why do you think?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about it because I have to say that I am surprised about it too. I think maybe what is appealing about it is it's something really tangible and practical, but
that you can put into action.
Yeah, but then it's really meaningful and it's kind of life-changing how you go about designing your space that you spend your time in. That's really powerful, and it makes you a different person out in the world based off of how you're designing your space. I mean, it's kind of mind-blowing. And I think that's why the conversation turned into something so powerful and meaningful, but also interesting and beautiful.
And reading that book, which I highly recommend you purchasing, Every Room Should Sing. But reading that book and talking through it with you, like, I think about interior design even in a new way. Mm-hmm. And every time I'm adding something to my house or I'm working on a space in my house, I think about those things that we talked about and that are even in the book that we didn't talk about, because I think it's important. I think she really hit the nail on the head with how to approach your space, the importance, the why, everything. And I loved that episode. So I'm really glad y'all loved it too, because it was one of my favorites for sure.
And again, don't forget that you can listen to our episodes, but you can also watch us, and we have the book with us on that episode and stuff. So you can also look at that and watch it on YouTube at Dear Friend Podcast. So, Amanda.
Yeah.
You said that would have been your favorite episode, but over here where we wrote our favorite episodes, you wrote something else. What was your we chose an episode we did just the two of us and an interview episode.
Yeah, so I picked my favorite episode interview this year, the favorite interview from this year, and then I picked my favorite episode of Just Haley and I. And my favorite episode of Just Haley and I's conversation was the poetry one.
I wasn't expecting that, but I love it.
Well, because I think we selected really good poems, which I love poetry, like love it. And so I loved getting to share these poems and talk through them and about why we loved them and why we love poetry. They give me all the feels. I love listening to that episode because I just like hearing the poems being read. I love that episode. I've re-listened to that episode several times.
I love that. This is a total side note, but I just love that there's so many things out in the world, different expressions that are trying to be on our side and help us. Like interior design. It's a way of design trying to help us out in the world. And then there's music, and then there's poetry, and there's books, and there's and you can use all of it. You can love all of it. Yeah. And it can be on your side to make us better people
and help us to enjoy life.
Yeah. Okay, so what was your favorite interview?
My favorite interview was actually part 1 with Bonnie Davis, the meaningful breathing. Woo! I want to tell you something.
Come on.
Let me tell you.
Come on.
Number 1, Bonnie Davis's voice will send me in a trance of relaxation.
That's correct.
That episode, I will listen to it over and over again because of her voice. I love when she talks. And her presence comes through the recording, which I think is so special.
A lot of people told us that.
Yeah. I really, really, really enjoyed that episode. And also, she goes through a practice of breathing, and I like doing that with us on the episode when I re-listened to it. I just think it was really beautiful. I think she's a beautiful person. I loved the content of that episode. It's very relaxing. I think it gives great tools on how to use your breathing to help support you in life.
That's another.
And I just I loved all of our interviews 100%. That one's just one where I keep going back to it, I guess.
And Bonnie's just so special to us as a human in our lives right now. And so it was really special to spend time with her anyways. And then she just brings something so deep and meaningful to the table. And I, like you're saying, I think it's so helpful. If you need a supportive moment in your life,
that's
turn that
the episode
on.
Yeah, that's the episode. Okay, what about your favorite?
So
your favorite Just Us episode?
So first of all, I'm very indecisive, so I just picked this one, but I did love it so much. That's the one about the importance of humor and laughter. And I think first of all, laughing is contagious. So also, if you need to laugh, listen to that episode because we die. We are just dying laughing.
We
in
do
that
laugh
episode.
a lot in that episode. But also just talking about why
Right.
laughter and humor is important and how we sometimes people we take ourselves too seriously.
And that laughter is such a door in to ourselves and to like meeting others and finding connection with others, to breaking walls down and, you know, connecting. And I just love that. And I was about to say, I also like that episode a lot because we are talking about really meaningful stuff on this podcast. And also when we first started and we were Haley and Amanda podcast, we had kind of a tagline of the ha-ah moments. And a huge part was that like being inspirational and like these revelations we're having about our deep parts of us is really deep and serious, but it doesn't exist without also humor and lightheartedness and playfulness. And so I think that episode is a good kind of wrapper of holding both of those things together, and that they're not different. Just because you're being silly and laughing and making someone else laugh doesn't mean that you're some frivolous dummy.
I really love the new song by Brandi Carlile on her album. I was telling you, Stay Gentle.
That's a great song.
And some of my favorite lines in that episode in that song is, she says, I'm not going to know it word for word, but she's like, grow younger while you're growing older, and stay gentle, stay curious, like stay playful, and it's the strongest tool and weapon, even though others will think you're naive. Like they'll mistake it for being naive. I need to look up because the lyrics are so good, but that's kind of how I feel like
about
that's
humor.
Yeah, that episode is what was encapsulating that, where you can still be growing and being wise, but if you stay gentle and soft and playful, that's actually the key, like the best weapon.
Yeah.
So I also loved that episode. And then your best interview?
My favorite interview was the one with Olivia Constance from Fountain Board and Table, but our part 2. The part 1 was really good. Still recommend, but part 2, she had us over to her home.
Yeah, it was a really good atmosphere.
It was really special. The atmosphere was great. It hit all 5 senses for us, which we are totally 5 cents people. Just give us a nickel and we'll do anything.
I was about to say, all we need is 5 cents. We'll make it on 5 cents.
Humor. But so we had a great conversation about rest and power and like walking in your power and doing what, you know, you really felt called to do as a woman and as an entrepreneur. And we were just in a really special, thin place, I think, with her that night.
Yeah, and after the interview, we ate dinner with her and her husband, and we just had the best time.
Laughing and drinking and connecting.
Over great food. He cooked amazing food. It was just a really, that whole experience, I think like that episode and experience, I could totally see why it's your favorite.
I was going to say that it could be totally like because I enjoyed myself and dropped down into a sweet spot in myself with her and you that night, that I love that memory so much.
Yeah.
So hopefully that comes through in the episode and you could hang on to that feeling too. Give it a listen. Olivia Constance part 2.
And if you're local, you need to go to Fountain Board and Table, her restaurant, because... Let me tell you, that is some really good charcuterie and a lot of other good stuff, because she does everything perfect.
It was our favorite food discovery this year, I think, after Snowpocalypse.
Yeah, that's when we found it.
Yep, changed our lives.
And then, so finally, those are kind of the review top episodes, our favorite episodes. But here we are at the precipice of 2022.
Because we ain't stopping, y'all.
No, we love doing this. This podcast is something that we're so passionate about, even on days and weeks where we're so overwhelmed with other jobs, other side hustles. We are like, we've got to make, we've got to record this week. We've got to get this done because we love doing it and we love continuing it.
And we know that it's going to morph into something and keep changing and snowballing, and we can't wait for all the stages of it.
So what we want from you, our listeners, is feedback, because as we move into 2022, we want to make sure that our content is resonating with you. Obviously, we are going to be pursuing the things that we care about in this podcast, but we would love to hear feedback on the types of episodes you really like to hear, the types of topics you really like us to talk about or get interviewees about.
Yeah.
And so on our social media this week, starting, because when you listen to this, it comes out on Monday. We're going to be putting in stories every day, little surveys, and we want to get your feedback. We want to know what you prefer when it comes to topics and the type of people that we interview, just to give us more ideas for 2022. But we also have so many ideas for this coming year, and we're really excited to implement them. And we're so grateful.
So thankful for your time.
Yes. I was telling Haley, to me, like, I'm a huge podcast person. Like, it's transitioned like that, honestly, since the beginning of quarantine.
Totally, me too.
Because I listened to podcasts before that, but then in quarantine, with walking every day and just having a lot of alone time, I was listening to multiple podcasts a day, and then I got on my routine of listening. So now when life has opened back up, I'm listening in the car on the way places. I still go on my walk. I listen to that.
You have to be selective.
I love to listen when I'm cleaning my house. I put in my AirPods, clean my house, and it makes it really fun. Really fun. So,
and we got some notifications. I don't know if you saw on our social media last week that people's year-end reviews were coming in.
The Spotify Wraps.
Yes, and we were some people's
most
number
listened to podcasts.
Yo.
I know, it made us feel really special.
Really, really supportive.
Because why I was saying that about my podcast is I'm very selective of who I listen to because it's my time. I have like a few podcasts that I listen to for like growth and self-help, and then some that are just for entertainment and for fun and stuff where I want to really learn something. And so I just want to say, for those of you who listen to us, thank you so much for bringing us into your lives, into your little ears,
into your brains and souls.
It's really been such an honor, and we know that your time is precious. We're trying to honor that by bringing in good content. So thank you so much for going on the journey with us.
Yes, and please, again, we're going to be posting this week, and tell us what are your
feedback.
Yeah, how do you view us? What brings goodness and light into your world when we do what? And
like criticize us about like our looks, and I'm kidding.
Shit talk us.
I'm kidding.
If you want to.
Well, this podcast is produced by yours truly, Haley and Amanda. And it is on all listening platforms, as you might know, Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you can get podcasts, and you can watch us on YouTube.
Don't forget to subscribe to Dear Friend, Podcast, and you can follow us on Instagram at dearfriend.podcast.
And if you like the music in the intro and outro, let me tell you something. That's our band's music, Sister the Band. And if you want to listen to more of our music, you can go to sistertheband.com, where you can find different ways to listen to us on Apple, Spotify, all of that. And we hope you enjoy that music too, because we made it, and we are working on a second album. God knows when that's coming out, but we'll let you know first here. You heard it here first.
You guys, we hope that you're enjoying the holiday season, that you have dipped not just your toes but all the way up to your kneecaps. And
I'm drowning in it.
And we will just be over here enjoying the holidays and sending you spirit too.
Let's go watch a terrible Hallmark movie.
All right, cool.
Y'all have a good week.